Good afternoon, guys. I'm Chief Tom Hackney. It's H-A-C-K-N-E-Y. I'm the Chief of Detectives. Coming out this afternoon to talk about a serial burglary case that we basically cracked last night. Kind of walk you through the timeline and the history of these burglaries that we've had to the local Best Buy businesses. Since January, there's been 11 incidents in Duval County. There's actually been 11 incidents total. 8 of those have been in Duval County. There had been an attempt in Daytona Beach, a burglary in Gainesville, and another attempt in Ocala, Florida. These ranged again from the 5th of January all the way to last night, and they hit Best Buys pretty much all over the city. And we had been working this very actively with the folks at Best Buy, their management team, as well as the each managers and the whole area for the Best Buy stores really cooperated very well with us to put this together. This has been a thorn in our side and the thorn in the Best Buy folks' side, because it's almost $250,000 worth of loss over the past several months that Best Buy has experienced with these burglaries. We had back in March, we had arrested and identified a suspect for dealing in stolen property, with selling some of the laptops that were stolen in these burglaries at the Jacksonville flea market, and that's in the packages that you have, a male by the name of James Beal. So he was arrested back in March. And we had continued our investigation, sharing information with the whole North Florida area since we had the information about Ocala and Gainesville. These subjects were stopped actually in Ocala and Daytona Beach. They were found behind the stores. The time that they were found behind these Best Buy stores, there was no criminal activity at the time. Because of the information exchange that we had and sharing information, those agencies really stopped those burglaries before they happened. They identified these suspects that we have behind the businesses, kind of documented that they were there, and sent them on their way. Well, we had developed information about the car, and if you remember, back in June of this year, out at the town center, we had a Best Buy burglary where the suspect who committed that actually was struck by a Jacksonville Sheriff's Office vehicle and ran over. He was arrested and charged with that burglary at the time. The vehicle that was seen fleeing that was a white small minivan. Well, that came into play last night. The information that we had, and we worked with the patrol division, and last night the vehicle was seen. There was a Suburban that was seen, and the van from the earlier case that was seen in the area of the Best Buy. We kind of put our undercover people together and actually surveilled the one vehicle, saw it meet up with the white van where they exchanged sledgehammers. So they were beginning to put their plan into action. Again, that's how all these burglaries have occurred, is with sledgehammers through the wall, very specific locations in the wall. We have information that the guys that did this really staked out these locations from the inside and the out, well in advance of these burglaries, where they could see into the back rooms. However, they were able to be in the store and surveil the back rooms, to know the specific locations of the back rooms where the easily vantage points were in the back rooms. So last night, after we saw the van and the Suburban meet up together, we staked them out for 5 hours. These guys did counter surveillance of the Best Buy at 9355 Atlantic Boulevard for 5 hours, cruising the area, making sure there was no police activity. After 5 hours, with us Sheriff's Office covert guys hanging out behind air conditioners watching the back of the business, at 3:30 they struck. The van came up to the business. They got out of the van just like they had done in the other cases, went to the wall and began beating on the wall, got holes, beaten through the concrete walls, made their way into the business, and on their way exiting the business with hands full of laptops, we got them. They were able to get back into the van and begin to flee. There was enough patrol officers in the area that we were able to get the van stopped and recover all the property that was taken in that burglary. We arrested all of the suspects involved in last night's case with the exception of one. The 2 that we arrested are certified gang members, Varnes-Appling, last name, and Jeffrey Platts are both certified gang members of the Hustle House gang. We have a few more information, or a few more suspects that are still outstanding. We're working on that information now. These suspects, realizing how deep of a mess they're actually in, have cooperated with us and given us some information. what they were doing with these stolen items, they were taking them to local flea markets, other areas where they could fence them, and they did this in order to fund their music career, in order for them to be able to afford a record label or getting an album cut for their rap career. This is how they were funding them. And again, there's close to $250,000 worth of loss that each one of these Best Buys have experienced at the beginning of the year. So the sheriff's office is happy that this is actually put behind us.
How do you know how do you know they were funding their music career?
That's what they told us.
That's what they told you.
Any information on that person outstanding, and any info you want to spread about looking for him?
That's forthcoming. We do have information on him. I'm waiting for the warrant to be issued before I actually put his name out, but the detectives are in the process of getting that warrant issued. Hopefully before news time this afternoon, we'll have the information out and I can get a picture out for him. But he is the only missing link in this. And again, this is just good cooperation between the local business, between the sheriff's office working together. It didn't happen as fast as we like it to. We'd like to be on top of these things before they hit these 7, 8 incidents like this. But this one did come together very well with all the outstanding parties. Hopefully be in custody soon. The case put behind us.
Have you recovered any of the other stolen items from the previous events?
That's part of what we're doing today. Again, the guys that we arrested are being cooperative, and that's part of the investigative follow-up is to make sure that we do what we can to recover the property. Like I said, back in March, we did recover some of the stolen property through the arrest then, and with what we're doing today and here forward, will be efforts to make to recover.
Chief, how did, so the person who's at large was part of this thing early this morning and got away?
Again, we had 2 vehicles this morning, and kind of the way they operated, you had one vehicle that would actually take them up and commit the burglaries. You had the other vehicle that would act as surveillance, patrol the area, if you will, would probably make cell phone contact, and that's kind of I guess on my part, but they would make contact with them and let them know if there was actually police activity in the area, because several of these beforehand, before the officers could arrive, and they were there pretty quickly, the suspects were gone. So that's kind of our surmising that that's what happened. But he was one of the occupants of another vehicle that was in the area. That vehicle was stopped, but somewhere in the meantime, he made it out. So the one that we have outstanding has been implicated in this, and will be
Even though he was there last night or this morning,
but it's this morning, yeah.
So it was $250,000 loss per store?
No, quarter million total, or estimate about $250,000 since the beginning of the year.
Okay. And are any former or current employees of Best Buy suspected?
No, we haven't found any kind of inside information or inside job associated with this. This is this group, and again, I mentioned that at least 2 of them are gang members. This is a pretty elaborate plan that they had. With specific information, with a lot of counter surveillance. Again, they spent last night, they spent 5 hours making sure that it was safe for them to commit their burglary. And that's kind of been the case all along when they've done this. So, if you will, sophisticated, but not sophisticated enough that we didn't catch them.
But this time you followed, according to the police report, you had cruisers following them from wherever they left their residence to this Best Buy.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
And then you, so I'm trying to figure out, I guess, they staked the place out for 5 hours and they didn't see you? Sophisticated, maybe, but it can't be that smart.
We're good. We can hide very well.
Did you,
Behind the air conditioning.
Whatever
That
it
hadn't
takes.
been
We'll hide wherever it takes. Yeah.
did you receive any tips throughout this?
We have received different tips throughout this. Our activities last night didn't involve any direct citizen tips, but I can say that with the case back in June, with the other Best Buy from the town center, the one suspect that we caught was directly related to citizen involvement. Citizens seeing something that looked out of place to them, they thought enough of it that they called us, and that's how we were able to make the arrest in the June case. So citizen involvement has been a key to this. Last night's activities didn't directly involve it, but we couldn't have made what we made without the help.
You mentioned that working with Best Buy. What were their security people or property loss people? How did they actually help what you guys did?
Well, again, we felt like some of the information that these guys had done had been surveillance from inside the store. They have very elaborate security systems within inside the store, so with the help of that, being able to go through and look at who had been in the store the day of the burglaries, and also from the locations where the burglaries had occurred, they had put up surveillance cameras on the outside. So we've got some pretty strong evidence that we're moving forward with because of Best Buy's help.
Were any Best Buys hit more than once?
Yes, sir. Actually, we did. We have the first part of the series was the City Station Drive Best Buy that was hit on 2 separate occasions, one on the 5th of January, one on the 29th of January, and then again in March that same business was hit, and that's the one up on the north side. And then back in March as well, the Atlantic Boulevard store was hit, and then last night that was hit as well. They had the Atlantic Boulevard store was hit, Southside Boulevard store was hit, and then the other ones that I spoke about.
That's 8, 9.
That should be 1, 2. That's 8, including last night's, and then the ones from the other jurisdictions.
Did the suspects give any reason why they chose Best Buy?
Not really. You know, I suppose once they realized that their plan worked, they kept that plan in place. And lucky for us, we were able to thwart their plans last night. So
Any other questions?
you should have copies of all the dockets and arrested people.
Maybe one more thing, too. We've got these 3 names here, funding their rap music career or whatever, just for themselves, or because they're part of a gang? Is this going to other people in the gang, or?
We're looking at that to make that determination whether, you know, they can be gang members and still kind of have their own little group that operates outside of that. But that's part of what we're going to look at to determine how deep in this gang this went. Because again, we talked about a lot of loss here.
So these guys were rappers, or would-be rappers.
I would have to say would-be rappers. Now they're incarcerated.
They're singing a bad song.
All right, thank you.
Nice.